Hăīre, φίλε, and welcome. Today we're going to be taking a look at the very last verses of John chapter 4, that being 53 and 54. But first, last time in John chapter 4, and final time in John chapter 4. Probably the best way to do this, just translate the whole chapter and then record that once, chopping it down, so just get them all through quickly. But it's 54 verses. There's a rubric. Let's get started. Agno un ho pater hoti en Koine te horai en hei epen autoi ho Jesus ho huio su zei kai episteusen autos kai he oikia autu hole. Tuto de palen deuteron semeon epoiesen ho Jesus elthon ectes Judaios estein Galilean. There we go. Agno, I think we've seen this one relatively recently. At least it's relatively recent in my memory. And I don't know that it's been in any of the pericopes that I've looked at recently. But anyway, that's from Gignosko with a sigma cal. Sigma kappa. Yikes. It hasn't even been that much of a day. Anyway, so we've got the agno form of it with this unusual omega third person singular ending. Epsilon gamma nu as our aorist, and it is active. I should know why it's omega, but I don't remember. If you remember, feel free to type it at the bottom of the video. All right, multiple of those last time, therefore, following on from previous events. Ho pater, we've got our nominative article, don't need to parse pater as our subject. Agno means to know. We could say have seen. That's oida. So oida is the perfect form verb meaning to have seen, but it's used as the present tense, to know right now. Gignosko is like find out, to... I should probably stop rambling. Anyway. Then we have our subordinate clause with hoti in prepositional phrase. Not all versions have that in, but it makes sense with these sub-iotas. All datives right there showing us time. You don't really have to have the preposition, but since it appears in nearly the earliest versions of the text that we have available, it's a reasonable insertion there. All of these are going to be the same thing, so I'm just going to write over the article. Singular, feminine. Another N right there, so closing that bracket off. I think another good reason for the N to be included in the addition in this version of the text is because we have an N with this second prepositional phrase, sub-iota, also the same form there. Eta referring back to hora, and if you're going to have one N for symmetric reasons is not a word. Another N belongs right there. You could just use one, but then the more ignorant dude from Rome who didn't pay any attention to his Greek classes might wonder, well, what's this hey thing doing? Anyway, that's my guess. Apen, no need to parse that. Sub-iota as the indirect object of apen, dative, singular, masculine, referring to the Father. How do we know? Well, because we have ho Jesus as the subject of apen right there, and no need to parse Jesus either. And then with ho huios, we have our omicron sigma for nominative singular masculine subject. Su with that omicron upsilon there as the possessive pronoun, genitive singular, common. And then ze, sub-iota with that eta. We've seen this verb enough times recently, I don't need to parse it. Since we do have the sigma version of the prepositional phrase for second person singular, I'm going to put quote marks around this as a direct quote with apen. Your kai episteusen, we have epsilon nu as our ending right there, a augmenting vowel epsilon right there, and our sigma stim addition, so that we know that we have the aorist, third person singular, active, and indicative. Autos omicron sigma as our nominative singular subject. Kai he oikia, we have our nominative singular feminine. For this is going to be a part for the whole, the building for the entire family, that is. Autu, don't need to parse that, owning oikia. And then hole, eta right there, with nominative singular feminine, matching oikia, since they're in a different line. I'll go ahead and write that out. And this one means what it sounds like. Hole, the whole household. So assuming a repetition of this verb, but instead sen ending, we would have the on ending. Moving on into verse 54, tuto de palin. We've got another adverb here. Deuteron omicron nu as the ending for that. Semeon omicron nu, these two are matching. Semeon is going to be with ho Jesus as our subject, article confirming that. Our direct object accusative, don't need that C. Don't need two commas. Accusative singular neuter. These two going together. Tuto with that omicron we know is also going to be neutered, so also modifying deuteron. Epoieson, augmenting vowel, epsilon nu, sigma addition to the suffix, to the stem. We then have the exact same form, which I'm just going to pull down, with Jesus as our subject. And we'll come to this participial phrase in a moment. So, and again, this second sign, so this is reminding us then to go and look back at the wedding at Cana. The first sign that he does is in support of natural marriage, what we today have to call natural marriage. And then this second sign is the restoration of the sick. If you look at the state of the world throughout all of human time, when Adam and Eve fall, what happens? Well, the battle of the sexes begins. Adam accuses Eve, and he accuses God, of course, and Eve accuses somebody else, everybody passing the blame, but husband and wife are now fractured from each other. And one of the first miracles that Jesus does is it's not healing of marriage, but it's supporting of marriage. It's helping the marriage succeed. What great shame the family would have had in the community if they hadn't had wine for the party. If you run out of wine, then the entire marriage starts off on a very bad spot. So Jesus has done a very great thing in supplying them with wine to save their image. And then in this second one, with the fall of man from grace, we then have sickness and thorns and evil and death entering the world. And Jesus' second sign is to come in and take away sickness, to restore somebody to health, even if it's only temporary, so that this child will die again. Well, not again, because he hasn't died yet, but die at some point in the future. So it's Jesus just started to piece things back together in preparation for his road to the cross. All right, lecture over. Elthon omega nu, I think we've seen this one enough times, I'm not going to parse it. Ek, prepositional phrase, taking the genitive. Tes and as, right there. Ace is a new prepositional phrase, I'm going to close that off. This is singular and feminine, we know from the article. Ace tein Galilean has to end right there, plus the accusative, showing place into which, and that's singular, also feminine. Just telling us, we could probably translate this one, as he was going from Judea into Galilee. So this is during Jesus' northward trip. He's come from Jerusalem, and he's in Capernaum, traveling probably throughout Galilee now. And I forget which chapter it is, but for us, many, many months away, if I'm able to even keep up this pace. There's a big question about that this coming fall, because classes begin again. But anyway, he will pretty soon turn around, and then the entire rest of the book of John is his march toward Golgotha. Well, I'm going to go with as, because he's moving around the area, as I said. Was because past tense to happen before are already past tense. And there we have that. Let's go ahead and take a look at it in its own context. And I realize that going, the just participial form that I put in there is wrong. It should actually be having to match the tense. There we go. Therefore the Father knew that in that hour in which to him Jesus said, "Your son lives," and he believed, and his whole house. And this again, second sign Jesus did as he was going from Judea into Galilee. Thank you very much for joining me for chapter 4. I hope taking a look at the entire chapter has been helpful for you. And I hope that you have a very good day and will join me as I move on into chapter 5. There is no plan at this point to change the schedule. I'm going to continue going through the eclogues. I'm going to continue going through approximately a page worth of text. No, not approximately. A page worth of text each week for the Greek and the Latin. Summer. And every change of the season, I look at the next one like, maybe this next one won't be as mind-bogglingly busy. Maybe summer won't be as mind-bogglingly busy as Lent was. But I doubt it. Have a good day.